It is the holiday season, and in basketball terms, that means the Bearcats are done with non-conference action and ready to dive into Big 12 play. On today's episode of Bearcats All Access, we step inside the team facility to find out what the mindset is heading into conference action. And we check in with other sports from across campus here in Clifton. Bearcats All Access starts right now.
Bearcats All Access, sponsored by All Good Home Improvements.
This time of year is one of the most exciting times of the year for a lot of people. The holidays are here. You get a chance to potentially see your family, but it's also a very busy time of year for you guys. You're getting into conference play. How do you make sure that those things are balanced properly?
Well, it's always been very important for me that our players get the opportunity to get a real break at Christmas. In the 20-some years I've been involved in college basketball as a player and a coach, I've never practiced on Christmas Day. Like, we will never do that. It's very important to me that guys have the opportunity to be with family on Christmas Day. Depending on how your schedule shakes out, how many days you get off, can vary, but we always want guys to have at least 3 days off. You don't want it to be too much, because too much, maybe they get out of shape. And then certainly you have some international players or guys that are from far away that may not get that opportunity to go home. But if you are in the States or your family's in the States, I think it's very, very important that guys have the opportunity to get home for Christmas. I just think that's a big picture thing that's bigger than basketball. But at the same time, outside of that, nothing changes for us. It's the next practice to get better, the next day to get better, and the next game to prepare for.
When guys take off on that, mini break this time of year for the holidays, what's your message to the guys?
To enjoy their family. That's always the same message every year, that regardless of what's going on, whether we're coming off of some great run and some success, or whether we're dealing with failure, we've sent guys home for break with both extremes and everything in between. People that are around me may not think that I understand this at all, but there are things that are bigger than basketball, and faith and family are part of that. And Christmas is an opportunity in college basketball to disconnect for a couple days and really appreciate the things that matter most, and that's always the message.
Okay, now that you've gotten a lot of the non-conference games out of the way, and you get ready to head into conference play, where's the team at right now? What is it that this team needs to see happen from here the rest of the way, based on what you've seen so far?
This is the worst answer for fans or people that want good content, but it's the real answer. The team's in a position that it has a chance to get better today in practice, and we got to do every single thing we can to maximize that opportunity to improve, period, the end. Trying to figure out where are we at after this amount of time. To me, it's such a waste of time, right? We'll have moments that we step back and we go, okay, big picture, where were we, where are we, what do we have to do to adjust and get better? That's our jobs. But at the end of the day, it really just comes down to what can we do right now today to keep improving as a team, to give us the best opportunity to compete in our next game. And if we keep that mindset, which is very difficult, especially in today's world, but if we can do our best to maximize that mindset, by the end of the year, I think we give ourselves a chance to have the best possible year. And that is the ultimate goal, right? We're trying to compete for championships. We're trying to compete to the standard that's been set way before us at Cincinnati. We can't get caught up in the semantics of where we are in the big picture. We got to get caught up in the moment, and maximizing the moment and the opportunity in front of us. And then I think all the big picture stuff, I do think it gives us the best chance for that to happen.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Still to come on today's show, a difficult diagnosis but a triumphant recovery. We sit down with the Godfather, Dante Corleone. That's next on Bearcats All Access.
Keys to Success, sponsored by Columbia Hyundai and Genesis of Montgomery.
Well, the holiday season can be a warm and emotional time for everybody, and that includes UC football star defensive lineman Dante Corleone. Dante sits down with WCPO9 sports anchor Marshall Kramsky to discuss his blood clot diagnosis from this past summer. A difficult time, but also a triumphant recovery. Oh, and by the way, Dante announced this month he's returning to Cincinnati for next football season.
From a bird's eye view of the University of Cincinnati, it's easy to pick out the heart of campus, historic Nippert Stadium.
We have a lot of expectations for him. You know, we've been winning forever.
The fans, the heartbeat. The man who makes the Bearcats come alive is known as the Godfather.
He embodies everything.
A hometown kid turned All-American defensive tackle, Dante Corleone.
I saw a goal and I saw a vision. Just staying home in my backyard and just play good football.
He's a very imposing player, and teams have to know exactly where he's at. Otherwise, he will make a play against you.
Corleone is one of the best defensive players in the country. But even Corleone could not save the Bearcats from a 3-win season in 2023.
It was very difficult, you know. I feel like I had one of my best off seasons, and I thought my team was going the right direction, but it wasn't. It was going the opposite direction.
In the modern era of college football, most superstars would go chase a massive NIL check in the transfer portal, not the Godfather.
I committed here for 3 to 4 years, and that's what I'm going to do. You know, loyalty is big for me.
Loyalty stemming from a blue-collar mentality, forged just 11 miles away at Colerain High School.
You know, we don't have the high-tech facilities or the new football gym. It's all nasty, and that's what we pride ourselves on. Like, Colerain, we was always tough and gritty. We just know we had to get it out the mud.
Fighting for success was nothing new to Corleone. His whole childhood, he watched his mother, Rashida Miles.
She was a single mom that worked, had holes in her socks and stuff like that, and I had to watch her just do that. So her motivation for me is just like, it took everything.
Raised by mom and his football coaches.
Them just motivating me every day in high school that wasn't really there sometimes because I never had a father figure.
Quitting when times got tough, never an option. Coming off his toughest season of his career, Corleone's biggest battle was still ahead of him. June 2024.
So when I was working out, I felt something weird in my back, and I just couldn't run or lift. So I went to Aaron.
He came to us with kind of some non-specific, like mid-back pain. Something that, you know, we see guys with, you know, bumps and bruises and sore body parts all the time, so you don't immediately think worst-case scenario with a lot of these things.
I went back home, I tried to lay down, and I had to use the bathroom, but it took literally everything out of my power to get out the bed.
The pain was non-specific and did not improve over, you know, a couple of days.
He asked me what the pain level was. I said it was like a 9 or 7. And then Aaron texted me, he was like, if it's a 9 or 7, we're gonna go to the emergency hospital.
When things don't make sense, there's usually a reason why they don't make sense.
As a football player, you don't know no better. Like, you just thinking you gotta fight through everything. So I was like, it's not as much as I need to go to the ER.
We wanted to get some advanced imaging, and unfortunately, the advanced imaging is when we found the blood clots.
I never knew what a PE was until I found out I had it, and it just took my whole world out of me.
Dante Corleone was diagnosed with pulmonary embolism, or PE, a condition in which one or more arteries in the lungs become blocked by a blood clot.
What could happen if you get a blood clot?
Yeah, blood clots are you know, life-threatening situation if they're not caught early enough.
First off, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna play football again, let alone, like, I don't know how my life gonna be after this. Like, I was just in complete shock.
With the physical obstacle of a lifetime, also came a mental hurdle.
But there's also like a lot of anxiety came out of nowhere because all I knew was football, and I loved this sport very much, and it was almost taken away from me.
The Cincinnati medical staff was not going to let Corleone's NFL goals disappear. Aaron Himmler and his staff made a plan to safely get Corleone back on the field.
He didn't have one down in mind I was going to play football again, so I believed in Aaron.
The road back was not an easy one.
You know, during camp, I was out the entire time, and I was running so much, and some days, you know, I didn't have it in me.
But there was no way that a boy who was raised by a group of hard-nosed football coaches and a single mother was going to let his future be taken from him.
I'm seeing her struggle, I'm seeing her in pain, but I still see her work every day. Like, she don't complain. And she's going through that. I got to play my part too, so I can help her out and help the family out get paid one day.
For me, that has been so impressive is his overall poise and his resiliency with it, and just the way that he, you know, really hasn't bent or broken.
Corleone is not only back on the field, he is still one of the best defensive linemen in the country, and still the heartbeat of the Cincinnati Bearcats football team.
Playing well, just icing on top of this situation.
Appreciating the game more, never forgetting the bigger picture.
I thank Aaron for everything he done for me. He saved my life. He also saved my mom's life because now she still have her son breathing, playing football again.
A gratitude that the Godfather shares with the man who saves him every week.
After the captains do the coin toss, I'll go over there and give him a hug and say I love you every time. So every time I be in here, I would always do that because he means the world to me.
A weekly message from the heart before Corleone does what he loves on the football field as the heart of the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Well, it's time to take a trip down memory lane as UC women's basketball coach Katrina Merriweather sits down with her college coach and Hall of Famer Lori Pirtle to talk about lessons learned, as well as the journey from being a player to being a coach and what it means to carry the torch of leadership in women's basketball. This is The Sisterhood.
The Sisterhood.
Sisterhood. Sisterhood. Sisterhood. Sisterhood is...
It means that you're in something for the rest of your life.
I am who I am because of who we all are. So during your 21 years here, you got here in 1986. Tell me what your obstacles were when you got the job.
Well, right away, the very first year was just a matter of changing the culture. And so that whole evolution of that first year was really difficult on me. I had never lost before. Laying that foundation was very difficult and very challenging. In year two, we're the biggest turnaround in the country. Maybe misspeaking, but at least was in the top 5. And so that was quite good. We had obviously gotten the message across to the kids. They bought in. Year 3 was the year we went to the NCAA, the first that ever happened here at UC. Year 4, big knock in my chest again. Things fell off a little bit, and I think had a lot to do with that I didn't realize the landscape was changing, and people were putting money into women's basketball, and UC was not doing that. But because we had won so big with so little, expectations and resources did not go hand in hand. And so we had to start to fight that fact that things weren't where we needed financially. So within that combination of poor budget and me being sick, we fell behind and we lost back. And I tried to readjust through that and tried to find a way, how could I motivate people to play above themselves?
We have to dig into this 89 team that goes to the NCAA tournament. Now, mind you, we know that you've been here for every single NCAA tournament this program has ever had, and clearly we hope to add to that here in the near future. Will. Talk about that team, because it's their 35th anniversary, right, this year. So.
Yeah, well, that was the team I was speaking of in those first 3 years, but that experience had, well, first of all, we were an at-large in a field of 48 teams, and that's not very many teams. So we're really proud of that we were an at-large team because we lost in the conference championship. And so I thought we were not going to get in. But we had 3 big-time players, in my opinion, Bev Obringer, Trinette Wright, and Regina Williams. And we ran a triangle offense to isolate them and get the ball to them, and they did a great job. They were extremely talented and got the job done. Matter of fact, I think all 3 of them could have played pro. Bev did. And just as a sidebar, Regina Williams is now the first female AD at Withrow High School, which is her alma mater. Also, I think she belongs here at the UC Hall of Fame. From there, we had the 3 Ks, Karen and Kathy and Kelly, that are the freshmen when I got here. And then we pulled in Donna Harkless, a shooter, and Mick Koenig, a great point guard. But these kids really put the time in for us and really believed in us. We were able to go in a 3-year period picking that starting group and turning them into the group that they ultimately were because they bought in. They let us take the talents that they each had and put them on show on the floor, and everybody accepted their role. And ultimately, it paid off, and we got to the NCAA after just 2 years, where we only won 6 games.
Unbelievable, but that's you. And see, all I know is Lori Pirtle greatness. So
thank you.
Sometimes to hear about some of those years, I'm like, no way, Lori wasn't the coach then. And not if that happened. Not if there wasn't a winning season or a postseason.
Well, there's lots of things that go into winning, and you just have to have a chance. You have to have some support, and you have to have things that make it attractive for the recruits to come. And when that started to happen, we started to win.
You had some really awesome wins that year, too. And if you have one in particular that stuck out, how it ended or how you all played, what would that game be?
Well, year 3, it was glaring which one just really caught my eye, and it was the second game of the season. We had just lost to Georgia by, I think, a little bit under 20. But still, we lost. And so I didn't know really, I don't know what this measurement was of how good we were going to be, but we played UCLA and we beat them by 2. And I thought to myself, we got a chance. And not long after that, we beat Ohio State.
I always tell everybody that you are one of the best, if not the best, storytellers and motivators that I know. Where did that gift come from?
I like to say I'm a coat of many colors, like the Dolly Parton song, and I believe everybody is. But I'll start with my mom, and she was just really inspirational. And she wasn't about being the best you can be. She was about being the best. I think my time at Ohio State really taught me how to motivate my own self. Tara Vanderveer wanted to cut me. She said she'll never start here. Those things fueled me, and I started to read little quotes my high school coach gave me. And then I went to Capital. But to go to the Final Four, I wanted to squeeze more out of them, pull more out of them. And so I learned to motivate from there. And then the drought we had at UC and going home and reading. I just would read things. I go, that gives me goosebumps. How can I get that across to my kids? How can I take them to another level so they can feel it? And if I do it every day, will I make them go from here to here, just from a mental standpoint of going, you can do this, it's in you. Don't look back. And what makes me motivated for my own personal goals is something I just feel that is important to share, that hope that I can do that for other people, and particularly when it counted here where I wanted to win games.
During the Pirtle era, what do you want your legacy to be when people talk about you and your time here?
Well, that I was persistent and that I was resilient, and I did make the best of what we had. More importantly, that I did leave it better than I found it, and I left the kids better than we found them. And when a kid comes back to me and says, you made me better, or I am who I am today, partly because of the things you taught and how you taught us to be tough. Putting kids in position to be resilient through the rest of their life just because we were resilient here and pushed them to their limits and making their life have a better chance and just an opportunity to succeed, not only here, but later. And so just leaving everything better. If we would all do that, everything we do, if we would just leave it better than we found it, this world would be a better place. And if we cared about what happened to people that we deal with and who they are and who they're going to be, then this world will be a better place.
I speak on behalf of me and everybody that I know who had an opportunity and the privilege to play for you. Legacy confirmed.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor. And it's an honor to get to watch you run this helm. And as I always say, it's in your hands.
Appreciate you. I love you, Lori.
I love you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, you may have noticed legendary Bearcats basketball player Kenyon Martin was here in town for the Crosstown Shootout. And while he was here in Cincinnati, he took time to sit down with Dan Horde for the Let's Reign podcast. Here's part of that conversation.
Hi again, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Reign podcast, in-depth conversations with current and former Bearcats. I'm your host, Dan Horde. Our guest today is Bearcats royalty. His number 4, retired number 4, hangs on the wall at Fifth Third Arena. So awesome to see. Kenyon Martin, you are in your element. You have become a prominent podcaster.
Absolutely.
Does it suit your personality?
I think so. I think so, man. First and foremost, thanks for having me. It's a long time coming. Again, right? No, but this is my element now, man. I'm comfortable in front of the camera. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
From the first interview in '96, right?
Started to change in your sophomore year. Big breakout game against DePaul. I had the privilege to broadcast it. It's one of my greatest memories, honestly. 24 points, 23 rebounds, 10 block shots. Anthony Buford and I were going crazy on Fox 19. It was great. Was that a big moment for you that said, okay, I've got a chance to be special?
No, no, man.
Just playing
basketball, man. Like none of it. All this was. I wasn't supposed to be here. Like none of this was thought about, dreamt about, focused in on as a child. Like none of. I wasn't supposed to be here. Just
everything was so tough.
Yeah,
Life was tough.
If you don't have any success stories to point at, to tangible stuff that you can be like, I want to be like that, or I want to be, how?
Yeah.
Right, really how? So, just playing basketball my sophomore year, man. Right? Honoring this scholarship, got this man over here that don't play, and I'm just hooping. Right? There's no didn't know nothing else. Go out and play hard. That's it. Like and that's all that was, man. Like the numbers were great. Like, after the fact that people was like 24, 23, and 10, like it's a big deal. Okay. Right, and that was really the feeling, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm used to blocking shots, I'm used to doing that, but yeah, to do it on this stage in college, and it was I guess for a lot of people it was an eye-opener. For me, it was just really another day at the office, to be honest.
Without that roadmap to success as a kid, would you have succeeded to the extent that you succeeded somewhere else? Or was the combination of Hug's tough love and Cincinnati's vibe exactly what you needed to bring out the best in you?
Yeah, because he didn't put a muzzle on me or leash, so to speak. Well, some coaches have someone, like, got in a fight one of my first few practices. Like one handful of practices maybe, got in a fist fight. And he didn't scold me for it. And it was an eye-opener, right? Like I could be me around here. And that's what it was, man. Like it was, he didn't try to, oh nah, like you can't be doing that around, like suspend me or kick me out of practice or none of the above. So you have somebody like that, man, in your corner, you do it like it's on, right? And for my freshman year, then being like my sophomore year, having that from him, it was easy, man. Like for me just to go out and just hoop and play basketball and just be athletic and tougher than everybody, right? You just got that belief, man, that just go.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of Bearcats All Access. The UC men's basketball team is back in action Monday night on the road against Kansas State in Big 12 action, and the women's team is right here Wednesday, New Year's Day, against BYU. We'll do it again next Saturday morning and every Saturday right here at 11:30 on WCPO 9. Have a great week, everybody.